Hi everyone, it's Jaden. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have my first video interview for you. My guest, his name is Dave. He is a husband and father of 5 children. He's 37 years old and he is a debt collector who works in the debt collecting industry. And he's here to share his health crash recovery journey that has to do with adrenal fatigue, HPA Axis Dysfunction, and anxiety. So before we get into the video, I just want to say that neither him or I are medical doctors or trained therapists. We're just here to share our experience with you and help you in your own research on your recovery journey. Definitely consult with your own doctor and medical professional before you take on any health advice. Now let's just get right into the video. So hi Dave, welcome to my channel.
Thank you, sir.
We'll just jump right in. Go ahead and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm 37 years old. I am a father of 5, happily married.
Yeah.
And self-employed business owner. Typically on my spare time, I love to work out. I love to play video games, run, just be active, watch baseball, play baseball. I'm a Christian. Aside from that, that's the gist of it, but yeah.
Nice. So you had mentioned when we spoke earlier that you had gone through anxiety throughout your life, right? Like long before your health crash, you've had.
Absolutely. I've been dealing with anxiety at least from what I can remember since I would say 20 years old.
Okay.
So it's been a good 17 years. That's when the first, I would say, panic attacks came, and the worrying, the health anxiety, what could it be, stuff like that. So
yeah. Would you say that your lifestyle, like in general, is pretty stressful, like with your job? I know you said you're in the debt collection, industry and stuff like that. So
being a father of 5 comes with its challenges.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I've got kids actively in travel baseball, so they have, practice either with their high school baseball team or travel team almost every day.
Okay.
Being married, of course, has its responsibilities and challenges, and being self-employed has its challenges. You're pretty much, unless you have that separation, you're pretty much working all the time. You're kind of on the clock. So with that being said, yes, a very, very busy lifestyle.
Both mentally and physically, from what you're saying then. Yeah.
Mentally and physically. It's to the point where I have to have 2 cell phones, one for business, one for personal, to try and shut things off at the end of the day. But my mind is always running.
Constantly. Yeah. And then you have your health anxiety on top of it that you're dealing with too. So
yes, and that's a full-time job and a half. That's overtime right there.
Yeah, I get it because I told you I have OCD and I have health anxiety too. So before we'll get into the actual crash time, but like before you had your major health crash, I guess that's what I'm calling it on my channel. Like your episode that started all this. Before that, did you feel like you were like especially overwhelmed or like especially stressed out for like chronically for a period of time before this like hit you?
Yes. I would say last year I bought a new home at the beginning of the year, and that comes with a lot of stress. Moving into the home, preparing the home, a lot of expenses.
Yeah.
Shortly after, we bought the home in January, February. I think it was about April or May. I started dealing with a lot of gut issues, and I really wasn't aware of where they were coming from. So my mind was constantly wondering, what are these symptoms? Where are they from? What can I take to alleviate them? Do I have, cancer in my stomach? Why is nothing taking care of this issue? And I would go to doctors. They would tell me, modify my diet. My diet was pretty much clean. My labs would come up fine. Quite a few things were pointing in the okay direction, but I couldn't get a grasp on the gut issues. So it started causing full-time, the wheels were turning all day long, every day. What's going on inside me? So that went on for about 6 months, started to include acid reflux. And I really started getting anxious because I felt like I, didn't know what I could eat anymore, didn't want to go places because of it. So I spent a lot of time in fight or flight and worry mode, I would say the last 6 months of last year. And then as soon as things started to calm down in January, the pandemic came around, which had its own set of worries and anxiousness. So
you literally had like huge stress after huge stress after huge stress. Yeah, it sounds so familiar because that's exactly what happened to me when I got my crash. So that, and everybody that I've been talking to, that's pretty much like the formula. They're like pretty stressed, and then they'll just go on this chronic period of time where they're majorly stressed out, and then they'll have their crash.
I think last year too, in the middle of the year, sometime amidst all this, I also ended up getting audited by the Federal Trade Commission, which is the government, essentially a law enforcement entity for the type of work I do. And they were inquiring into sales of certain types of debt. And in other people in my industry, they just shut you down. They don't even audit you. Your bank accounts are frozen, all kinds of things. So I had that lingering over my head. I was paying an attorney, thousands of dollars to represent me. And I got out of that with, fine, perfect. My business still intact. But again, throw that in the mix of everything else. And yes, it was a very stressful 6 months. So.
Yeah, like throw financial and work stress on top of all that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the actual health crash, could you go ahead and tell us about how that went and how it was and everything?
Sure. My allergies started to pick up. I think, probably February. I thought, okay, maybe it's just seasonal. I don't typically deal with allergies this bad. Started getting a sinus infection that was rather stubborn. Ended up on 3 rounds of antibiotics for it, that led well into March and April. When it wasn't going away, I started worrying, at certain points where it was even more prevalent that I could have had COVID because some of the symptoms changed. And that brought on even more anxiety. Mm-hmm. So I just found myself getting more and more tired. Walking upstairs, I started getting winded. My mind was just mentally exhausted. My body was physically exhausted. My sleep started getting less and less. I would wake up every hour and a half, 2 hours throughout the night. And I just found myself really lacking energy, lacking motivation. It was just a little bit of everything that, it started to seem like my body just wasn't quite right.
I see. Was there like a very intense crash, or was it just a very gradual where you just start to run out of energy in all departments?
It was gradual at first, and then it seemed like from 1 week to the next, it turned night and day. Like, if I did sleep well, I'd wake up, and then all of a sudden I was just exhausted. I felt like I had no amount of sleep could scratch the fatigue that I felt. My mind was fatigued. I couldn't concentrate on anything. Stairs in my home were like the enemy. I started to realize that, as this was happening, I just felt like my body was it was so run down. Like I had never felt that weak before. Walking took air out of me. I would wear a heart rate monitor, like a Fitbit, and walking from the couch to the bathroom, it would go up to like 120 when it should be at, 80, 90 max. Just different things like that from 1 week to the next, it was like I was this, somewhat had some energy. I was vibrant, I could still work out. And then all of a sudden it was just like, I don't know what's wrong with me. This is, something different than I've ever dealt with along the lines of anxiety, depression, anything like that.
On a scale of 1 to 10, like when you're feeling that exhaustion that you're talking about, 10 being like the most severe, what would you rate that feeling as?
12.
12, right?
12.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if anybody asked me that question, I'll be like, oh, it's just beyond like anything anybody can like imagine. Yeah.
I would tell my wife, I would say that I was like beyond pregnant lady exhausted, because, you know, I would always hear the terms, hey, when you're pregnant, you know, you don't know what exhausted is until you're pregnant. And, you know, me obviously being a man, that's all I could say is, hey, I'm pregnant woman exhausted. You know, like.
But no, this is beyond. Yeah. And you said you saw a doctor. What type of doctors did you see in the beginning?
Went to my primary medical doctor first. You know, he took some labs, told me, hey, you know, it's probably anxiety. I've, you know, been seeing you for 17 years now. Maybe a little bit of depression setting in. It's causing this fatigue. Could be some medication you're on or something. But all your labs seem fine. And then I went to a functional medical doctor. Yeah. And he had done a cortisol test.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, a select cortisol test, and told me that test actually showed that I had high cortisol, fairly high throughout the day, when I thought it was going to be low. You know, one of the main symptoms I was dealing with was reactive hypoglycemia and tanking blood sugar levels every hour and a half to 2 hours. So that was, you know, I needed to figure that out, and I needed a doctor that would figure it out for me quick. And this doctor said, you know, you are dealing with a form of adrenal fatigue, or he said it was HPA Axis Adrenal Dysfunction. He said, I wouldn't consider your adrenals quite fatigued yet, because they're still putting out cortisol, but he was like, you're going to get there. And he said, unless you do something to act now. So okay, so symptoms, that's perfect, because that's like my next bullet point. So my viewers oftenly, you know, they send me questions and stuff, and these symptoms I want to name off, I just kind of want you to tell me if you've experienced them, or like, and if you do, go ahead and describe how you feel when you're experiencing it. So the first one is the trembling. Like, everybody asks about this, and you know, I'm constantly answering and making videos about that. But yeah, tell us about your experience with the trembling symptoms. I had the trembling all day yesterday and this morning, to be honest. And you know, it comes on as like an internal vibration, a shaky feeling. Kind of feels like your body's cold. Maybe like there's muscle facilitations a little bit. You feel almost like an internal shiver that you can't control. And it seems to come on at 2 points more prevalent than any other time. And it's when I'm falling asleep or when I'm waking up. And sometimes it's there just during the day, but more so than any, it's when I'm falling asleep or when I'm waking up. Do you feel sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, it can very distinctly be described as just an internal shake. Almost like your body would be lacking a mineral or something weird, like you're just lacking something. It's odd. But do you feel that it's especially during naps? Like, I don't know if you take naps. Yeah, because it's when I've had it, it was worse during naps than like the nighttime sleep. You know, like if I was taking a nap, it would just be horrible. Naps were worse. I just took a nap a couple days ago, and I usually don't take naps very well. I fell asleep and I woke up just in that you know, internal shake, frantic mode, and it was like, I was like, wow, it's so much worse, you know, taking a nap than it is, you know, at night. So it's amazing how so many things are in common. Like myself and everyone I talk to, you, and just you'll say stuff, I'll be like, yeah, I can finish that sentence, because it's just exactly okay. And then heart palpitations. Yes, those heart palpitations seem to come hand in hand lately with the shaking. I can kind of feel them through my back almost a little bit. And I get them more when I lay on my left side, it seems like. If I lay on my right, it's not nearly as bad, but I do get them. That led to a doctor appointment one time in itself, and I had to ask for an EKG and stuff like that, because I was getting those palpitations, and they said, hey, go home, take some magnesium, calm down. And the magnesium helped a little bit maybe alleviated those palpitations, but I do still get them from time to time.
Now, with the palpitations, do you feel that it's just your heart racing, or do you feel that it's like your heart's pumping harder? Me, I felt both. It was, sometimes my heart would be pounding the same rate, but it was just harder and more intense. Did you feel that as well?
For me, it's harder and more intense. It almost never races while I'm sitting in place. And I think that's because over the years, my heart has raced so often from anxiety that, you know, I've got like a runner's heart where my beat is naturally, you know, in the 50s when I'm sitting at a rest, which they would, you know, some doctors would call bradycardia or whatever.
Or like an athlete's heart or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's very distinct. It's a harder beat. It's more forceful. Sometimes I can hear it in my ear,
Totally,
you know, and even feel it in my ear. But like, yes.
Yeah. How about dizziness and vertigo?
Dizziness is there all the time. Or it was. I felt like I was in a boat that kind of rocks side to side. I feel like oftentimes I would be walking off to the left, but I'm not really walking off to the left. So I wouldn't get vertigo like, hey, the room's spinning. It's more like my body was off balance. Like I was standing on one foot trying to balance and I'm falling over. That also has been a symptom that I've dealt with anxiety for years. And, you know, I don't know if we have time for it now or time later, but I had actually found a cure for that specific symptom at least, and I've gotten it to go away. So
yeah. You know, a little bit later, I'll have you share like what your tips are. You just remember this. Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, eye symptoms, like eye related symptoms, and like sensitivity to light. Did you have that? Or
it goes hand in hand with the dizziness. A lot of times when the dizziness is there, the eye sensitations are there. And I attribute that to just being overall kind of anxious from the condition in general. Sometimes some of these sensations come, you know, onto your body and you wonder what they are. You're kind of curious, but then if you react to it and you really go into that, hey, you know, what's going on? What is this feeling that I feel? What's, you know, why do my eyes feel like they're sensitive to light? They're hyper aware, almost like you can't focus, but you can like hyper focus at the same time. So it's like their rapid eye movement, kind of like any little sound you're immediately fixating on, but you can't fully focus. And for that, you know, again, is a symptom that I've dealt with throughout life from anxiety as well. So I believe, you know, anxiety is a huge component of adrenal fatigue or HPA Axis dysfunction. But yes, the eye sensations, without a doubt. Also, there's a little bit of blurry vision that I get at times. And that may be, you know, potentially, I'm one of those that overthinks things and tries to find out where the symptom's coming from. I think the blurred vision is probably when your blood sugar swings a little bit, you get some of the blurry vision that kicks in. But yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hands down, anxiety is definitely a contributing factor. I mean, it's no doubt for me too. Okay, so at your recovery process, would you say it's been like steady, up and down, slow, like how would you describe the way you are recovering from this, Grad? Like your progress?
Slow and up and down.
It's up and down.
Yes, like I'll have like, it started, I would have one good day and then maybe like 3 really bad days. And then I would go back and have one good day. I mean, now I'm at the point where I'll have like a great day, I'll have like 2 decent days, and then 1 really bad day, and then like a great day. So, I mean, there's more good than bad. That's taken a solid 5 weeks of laying around on the couch or in bed all day. And really just not really sleeping, but just resting my body and resting my mind. But yes, it's been very gradual and it's been up and down. Just when you think, hey, like I'm finally on the upswing, you get that bad day and it's like, oh man.
Yeah, I remember that. Diet, what works and what doesn't work for you as far as diet?
For me, sugar doesn't work at all. Sugar will tank my blood sugar.
Okay.
With reactive hypoglycemia, at first I had to eat every hour. The meals that I would eat would originally consist of just protein, eggs, cheese, nuts, vegetables, but nothing with sugar in it, no fruit, you know, good fats, avocados, stuff like that. That was for probably the first week. And then the second week, I started to introduce a little bit of brown rice. Brown rice is a complex carb, kind of breaks down differently in your system and lasts longer. It's a resistant starch. I included that and a little bit of strawberries in a beef protein shake. I went with beef protein because it was clean. It's long standing in your body. I have to eat probably, like I said, that first week, every hour. The second week went to every hour and a half. The third week, every 2 hours. Now I'm eating about every 2.5 to 3 hours, and my blood sugars are stable, and I'm in week 5. But yes, I don't incorporate any sugar. I don't incorporate anything but water to drink, or tea, herbal tea at that, or a protein smoothie that either has beef protein, maybe beef collagen, or chicken collagen, or something like that. A lot of lean meat. I usually am not a huge red meat eater, but red meat at this time, for some reason, has really helped my body.
Yeah, I found that too. I don't eat that much red meat ever, but when I had this, I had some, and it helped.
And I think fish is great for most people too, but for me, I'm a little sensitive to it right now, but I think I'll get there, you know?
Yeah. Sleep-wise, how's your sleep now?
Just started improving this week. I don't know whether to attribute it to recovery or the fact that I started taking a supplement called Seraphos. But basically, Seraphos will curb cortisol at night and help you to sleep. It's an all-natural supplement. And my sleep originally was broken up every hour and a half or so, all throughout the night. I would wake up, I'd have that anxious, shaky feeling, go back to sleep, wake up an hour and a half again. I learned that I need to pretty much turn the TV off, shut the lights off and everything by 9 p.m. Be in bed, maybe do some meditations, have some nice sleep music on. And then, you know, I take my supplements, I eat a protein snack before bed. And it seems like now I maybe wake up once or twice in the middle of the night, and it's usually around like 1 o'clock, and then again at like 4:30. And then I probably wake up at 6:30 and I'm up for the day. Okay. So yeah, sleep is getting better, but it was absolutely terrible. And it felt like my body never entered that important sleep area. I think it's called REM sleep that you're supposed to enter after the 90-minute point. I don't think I ever entered that because I would wake up right around that 90 minutes. Like I'd be jarred awake. So.
Okay. You know, it sounds like a lot. I mean, it's gradual, but you're definitely making progress. I mean, I'm happy to hear that. You know, in every department, you're like, you know, your sleep's a little better. You're able to handle your blood sugar. That's really good. As far as how this affects your workout and your like fitness specific, are you challenged with it because of this?
I'm gaining some weight now from eating more. I'm extremely challenged with the workout. At the start, walking to the bathroom was rough. And that's hard for me, somebody that was in the gym lifting weights for, 5 days a week and doing cardio, a lot of those days as well. It's one of those things that it was debilitating for me because a lot of times my go-to to handle stress was working out. And when you can't work out, for me, when I try to work out, I didn't have the energy, number one, didn't have the desire, number two. And if I forced myself, my blood sugar would tank. It would drop well into the 60s in even a 15-minute workout that, was very light to me, that didn't even really include weights. It was amazing to me. So, not much time in the gym. Right now, I'm at a point where I'll walk like a quarter mile a day. I don't get many steps in a day, but it's not like I'm eating terrible food all day that's filled with sugar that's going to, drive my body downhill or into a diabetic state because I'm not exercising. It's more so, I'm eating pretty healthy. I'm not 100% comfortable yet tossing myself back out there to try and work out because of what happened last time. It was a brief 15-minute workout. Started out with the blood sugar test prior, and I was in the 90s. And by the time I finished, I was in the low 60s. I was shaking, and I felt like, I was going to pass out. And it took about 2 days to recover from that.
Oh yeah, I remember we exchanged text about
Yes.
this. Yeah, you had that crash.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, and then as far as all this affecting your family and social life, how has it affected you in those areas?
Family is hard. It's really hard because I've got younger kids in the house, especially my daughter. She's a daddy's girl, and if they're asking me, "Hey, Dad, will you play with me?" and I have to look them in the eyes and tell them no, because I don't have the mental capacity or the physical energy or mental energy to play with them at that point. It's hard. It's hard on them. It's hard on me. I've been working from home. They don't understand why I'm home all day, but I'm not available to them. I work in spurts, maybe a half an hour, and then I put the MacBook down and I'll watch TV or rest or grab a bite to eat. It's my wife. She's been amazing. She does pretty much everything around the house. She moved my son and daughter's bedroom, swapped them, moved the beds, hung up everything, mounted everything, did everything herself because she knew I didn't have the energy. And she's been handling everything on her own lately, and it's kind of hard for me as a husband to take that back seat and watch and know that they need me, but there isn't much I can do. And I've never felt that helpless in my life before. Now on a level of, friends and other relationships, I would say the last month to 2 months has put me in a very socially awkward state where when I'm in the presence of others, I'm outdoors, I'm talking to somebody, I get that kind of instant anxious feeling that kind of comes over me. It's weird to be around people again. Some of it's the pandemic, but it's just weird to be in the presence of people and feel like I don't have the energy to carry on conversation. Like right now I'm doing fine with you. Mm-hmm. And when I do my YouTube videos, but that's eating right before the video, making sure I'm not exhausted. There's a lot of preparation that comes into making sure that I'm, up to doing this type of thing. Yeah. So where you would have one thing in your life that, normally just, it comes so easy, like talking to others, socializing, playing with your kids, doing a chore around the house. This condition really makes you appreciate what you had and what is so often taken for granted, because it plants you in your bed and on your butt, and you can't do, all these things that you originally were doing. Yeah. So yeah,
and as far as love life and intimacy, the effects there.
It does, in a sense that there's no lack of drive for me. I've never had a lack of drive through anxiety, through depression, whatever. It's always been there. Yeah. But in this situation, sometimes they attribute like, when you're getting older, when you become an old man and stuff, is sex safe for your heart? Is it safe for your body? And there are times where I've had to question in the middle of things like, whoa, my body's doing weird stuff. Like my heart's beating so fast, and normally it wouldn't when I'm doing this. Yeah. And I feel like I don't have quite as much energy, more head rushes and stuff like that. It's just, you almost feel like you're maybe an elder person that's still trying to have an intimate life, and you just don't have the energy, and a heart attack's going to put you away because of how your body feels while you're doing it. So it's crazy.
Yeah, from what I remember, like whether it's sex or sports or anything, it's just that your whole body and mental state you're just more sensitive, and everything's just more intense, so mm-hmm. You of course you could carry through the act of sex and sports and stuff like that, but it's the after effect, how you feel afterwards. Like you just can't recover the same, and it's just much
Yes.
more harsh on your system.
It's
So,
a day or two setback afterwards. It's like a good day or two setback. You almost feel like you're recovering from a workout.
Totally. Yeah, I remember that. So what were your top triggers for symptoms?
My top triggers?
Yeah, like what, like, you know, mine was like if somebody honked a horn for a while, that really, I just would just send me into like, you know, stuff like that. What triggers?
I have a couple things. Some triggers for me were low lighting. Being in a room that has not very well lit room or fluorescent lighting would seem to trigger anxiety type of symptoms or those dizziness symptoms. That's one of them. Any kind of sugar, you know, obviously converted into symptoms, maybe whether it was because of blood sugar or how my body was handling it or what was a trigger for me. And then, you know, it's as hard as it is. I have two kids, one being 7 and one being 5. They're very loud when they talk. They'll be 2 feet away and they're like screaming at each other. And there's times where I've been sitting at the dinner table and I don't even eat at the dinner table lately. I'll eat on the couch because if they're talking back and forth and they're talking with that tone, it's instantly like hits me in the chest. It stresses me out. Like it makes me jump. It makes my heart race. Like it's, you know, I'll start looking at them like, can you please be quiet? You know, and then all of a sudden I'm making them uncomfortable in their own house with things that they normally do. And so, yeah, it's loud noises, honking cars, any kind of flashing lights. Like I tried to watch Stranger Things on Netflix.
Okay.
And those strobe lights are not, it made me feel like they've never bothered me in the past. I'm a video game, you know, I'm a gamer. So doing, you know, seeing lights that flash and stuff like that, doing things like that is not normally a thing for me. But when I was watching Stranger Things, my eyes got super, super sensitized. Like I felt like I was going to go into a panic attack. I had to turn it off right away. Like really, it's just certain types of lights, certain sounds, anything sudden. Maybe sitting in a room with too many people at once where there's background chatter and noises or multiple voices, you know, things like that kind of trigger me as well.
Okay. So,
and stairs.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, tips that you like to share with the viewers who are going through the same type of thing?
I do believe what I'm going through is adrenal fatigue. I do believe what I'm going through is, you know, a type of adrenal fatigue, HPA Axis Dysfunction. Mm-hmm. However, in my personal belief, and it may or may not be for everybody, I believe anxiety and stress cause this. Some people believe that there's other things that can cause it. For me, I know that I had been so highly sensitized by the pandemic, worried about catching COVID, all the other things that I was worried about without being on medication, that it put my body in a constant state of fight or flight, where number one, my adrenals are pumping out cortisol for stress. Then you've got your body's going into fight or flight. So then you've got your liver saying, I better give this guy all of our sugar stores because he's in fight or flight. He's fighting the bear and he's ready to go and he needs that energy. Well, then you got the pancreas saying, hey, I better dump out a bunch of insulin to level this guy out quick. And then as I started coming down off the hill, I noticed that, you know, I have a delayed insulin response a little bit. So I'll eat something and my pancreas is still reacting in a way, or my adrenals thinking, hey, you know, this guy for 4 months straight has been in fight or flight. Now he's starting to calm down, but we're still pumping out all these hormones like he's in fight or flight and like he needs it. So for me, I had to take a big look at healing anxiety to help heal adrenal fatigue. Mm-hmm. I think diet's a big part of it. Do not let your blood sugar tank. You know, I would say get tested, get your blood test done. rule out anything major. You know, I went through, do I have ALS? Do I have chronic fatigue? Do I have all these rare diseases? As soon as my doctor told me, no, you're good, your labs are good, then I knew, okay, these are some things that I need to concentrate on. It's my diet, it's my anxiety, my mindset, calming myself down, loving myself a bit more, understanding that, you know, I need to be gentle with myself and rest more. And really that's, for me, that's it. It's just, you know, it's not, and judging your daily, judging your overall progress by how you feel day to day in this situation is one of the worst things, I think, because you'll have a good day or two and then you'll tank, and then you'll become completely rated and wonder if you're back at, you know, ground zero again. And you have to kind of look at it as, okay, where am I now a month later as to where I was a month ago? I'm in a completely different, you know, stage in recovery. And I do believe I'm in recovery. You know, a month from now, hopefully I'll be doing some little workouts and things like that. But you have to be gentle. You have to be patient with yourself. You know, you have to be willing to let yourself rest, let your mind rest. There isn't any magic medication out there, magic herb that's going to heal you. It's time. It's, you know, it's gradual. It's, you know, long suffering, but you'll get there. It is something you can recover from. And I think the biggest thing for me, one of the biggest things, is when I turned on your channel to look up that shakiness and that trembling video, and I saw that you took the words out of my mouth in that video for how I felt. It was an eye-opener for me that here is an answer to what I'm dealing with. And I went, like I said, there were 49 videos in your playlist that day. And I went and watched every single video the whole day. I heard that stupid, no offense, that opening song of yours so many times that day that it was, and my family was like, is he watching another video, you know? But you know, and I said stupid. I didn't mean it that way, but after hearing it 49 times in the same day at the beginning and end, it's like, you know, my family was irritated.
But hey, it got you to remember my channel.
Yes, it did, and I'm so thankful for it. And that
thank you so much for saying that. I mean, that's why I even made those videos, because I just wish I had somebody to relate to when I was going through it.
That's been it. It's being able to relate to somebody. It was you, you know, giving me your cell phone and saying, hey, if you have a question, you know, feel free to text me. You're not going through this. You're not alone. You know, there's other people that have been through it. Just to be able to know that this isn't some crazy, you know, illness that's going to take me out. It is real. It is, you know, very, very disheartening. It's hard on the body, hard on the mind. But there is hope, and it gave me hope. Seeing those videos gave me hope, and it gave me comfort, and it made me feel a sense of empowerment. Yeah. So that's what I kind of needed to jumpstart recovery. And between that and really working on my anxiety and you know, getting some mentorship from, you know, the anxiety guy and some other sources I'm going through and stuff, I'm finding altogether with that approach to tackle things, you know, diet, rest, time for myself. Those are all things that are contributing to recovery.
Yeah, really well said, Dave. And you know, from everything you're saying, and you're very self-aware, and I think that's such a powerful tool you have. You know, you're just constantly analyzing and like feeling what is actually happening and doing something about it. I think that's, you know, that's all we all really can do. I mean, none of us really have the answers exactly, you know, and things are going to help, you know, different people differently. So, but I think us getting together and, you know, future videos of your updates and other people who want to share as you're doing with me on my channel, I mean, I think that's going to just overall help. I think that so many people are going through this. It's just that no one's really speaking up about it until now. You know, I mean, it's like everywhere I turn, people are talking about anxiety. Everywhere I turn, people are talking about, oh, I'm having these blood sugar issues and I just don't feel like I used to. I mean, I hear that and literally it's like a epidemic, you know, I mean, it's just.
It is. There's no shortage of it. And I'm members on the Facebook groups, Adrenal Fatigue and stuff like that. And there's people that are talking about their symptoms and stuff, but they're kind of stuck where I was at first, where like, what am I dealing with? There's no hope in this. You know, the only way to get things resolved is to go through my endocrinologist and to get on medication, and you know, they're on artificial hormones and all these different things, and they're very much in a victim suffering kind of manner. And you almost got to kind of take the bull by the horns, and you got to say, look, I've suffered with this crap for long enough. I can either, you know, let it continue to drag me to the ground and you know, affect my wife, my kids, and everybody around me, or I can take control and start trying to do things about it, become educated, and start talking to like-minded individuals that have been there, have done things that worked for them, that have healed from this situation, and really just go with that. Yeah. Because your mind takes a huge part in healing. So
yeah, and you know, you're blessed with a, you know, amazing wife and a great family and kids, and they're blessed to have you, who is, you know, proactive actions towards recovering yourself. So
thank you.
So Dave, if viewers from my channel want to follow your journey, you have a channel as well, right, that you're starting with your own progress?
I do. Very preliminary stages. I put out about 5 videos, and you're going to find me talking on that channel a lot about anxiety. And again, that's because I believe that the chicken, for me at least, came before the egg in this situation. Some people say, oh, you have anxiety because you have adrenal fatigue, but you know, it's neither here nor there. They go hand in hand. Yeah. I realized as I'm starting to heal my anxiety, I'm getting that much more boost in my recovery from adrenal fatigue. So, you know, with all that being said, they can find me at, it's just under Dave Barrett, you know, my name. And I had a separate channel going, but I'm going to keep that for gaming and my hobbies and stuff for once I'm, you know, in full recovery. I'm going to put out maybe 1 or 2 videos a week, just talking about different symptoms and different things that I'm doing, different techniques to help calm the mind. And that's where they can find me.
That's awesome. And I'll go ahead and link that in my description box for everyone as well. Anything else you'd like to add?
You just got to love yourself and be patient with yourself. That's it. It can be so easy to get frustrated, to get down, to feel hopeless and helpless, to feel like, you know, I'm on my way out. Is this how I die? I'm so exhausted. I can't even walk upstairs. What the heck is wrong with me? You know, doctors don't have any answers. You know, if I could say anything, it's that you just got to get a little spark, just a little bit of momentum under you and a little bit of hope, and run with it. Your mind is going to, as long as you can keep that momentum, your mind will continue to try to pull you back the other way, but you got to continue to move towards healing. Even when, you know, there's something in your path that's preventing it, or you have a bad day. I think I heard a good quote on one of Dennis's videos, and I think it originally came from Bruce Lee, and it said, you know, be like water. And, you know, when the log falls in the water, you know, what does the water do? Eventually, it's either going to find a way through all the cracks and crevices to get past that log, or it's going to find a short detour around it. And I think, you know, that's one of those things that we need to do. Be like water. We need to keep pushing forward. And, you know, your healing journey for everybody might be different. Might be a week for one, might be 6 months for another. It might be 2 years for another. But, you know, just keep your eyes on the prize. Just keep moving forward.
Very well said, Dave. Thank you so much for joining me today. And, you know, I really hope you come back later on and, you know, update us on your journey, more of your recovery.
Sure. I absolutely will. Maybe, you know, once a month or so. I like collaborating with you, and you know, I think you're a great guy, and I thank you for all your support. Yeah, hopefully maybe the next visit, you know, you'll catch me after a workout or something.
Yeah, and it's great because this is new for me as well. I've never done like a collaboration thing on social media, so it's I even got a little bit of jitters before we got. I was like, oh, am I getting the palpitations again?
Right.
No, it was just a natural reaction to doing something exciting. Thank you, Dave. I will see you and chat with you soon.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Dave. If you'd like to contact Dave or follow him, go ahead and subscribe to his YouTube channel, which I'll link down in the comment section. If you like to share your health recovery story with me on a video interview on my channel, go ahead and contact me through commenting on this video, or you can reach out to me through my email address, which is jadenchristopher@gmail.com, or you could follow me on Instagram and direct message me that way. Have a great rest of the week, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.